Hello. This is a video abstract of the article titled National Burden of Injury and Deaths from Shootings by Police in the United States, 2015 to 2020. This article was recently published in the American Journal of Public Health. My name is Julie Ward. I'm an assistant professor of medicine, health and society, and public policy studies at Vanderbilt University, and I was the lead researcher on this study. This research looks at how often and in what circumstances police fire their weapons and injure a non-officer, either fatally or non-fatally. Now, it might be hard to believe, but up until now, we have had no idea on a national scale how often people in the US are injured in shootings by police. There are two main reasons for that. First, law enforcement agencies are not required to report shootings to the federal government. Second, most media repositories, which we've come to rely on instead of governmental sources, only compile fatal injuries. So nationally, we have only had record of how often people die when they are shot by police. But the difference between a fatal and a non-fatal injury is often just a question of centimeters. And even non-fatal injuries can be harmful, often life-changing for the injured person, their families, and the officers involved too. So for this study, we wanted to know how often is someone injured in shots fired by police? Who is injured? And under what circumstances do these shootings occur? To find out, a team of 15 students and researchers, including myself, spent several years reading through thousands of publicly available materials on the Gun Violence Archive, which is a repository of fatal and non-fatal shootings nationally. Through that review, we systematically documented who was injured in shootings by police and why the interaction with police occurred. We found that in the 6-year period, 10,615 people were injured or killed in shootings by police. That's an average of 1,769 people annually. 55% of injurious shootings by police were fatal. Now, that 55% is important for two reasons. First, 55% is really high, especially as compared to other community-based shootings, which tend to be fatal about a third of the time. But also, 55% is still just over half. So up until now, when we have studied shootings by police nationally, at best, we've just been looking at half the picture. We also found that in this fuller picture, it appears that racial disparities may be worse than we previously thought. Injured people who are Black had 35% higher odds of survival than injured people who were white. That suggests that if we only look at fatal injuries, we disregard proportionately more injuries to Black victims, which is an injustice in itself. When we looked at why police were involved in the first place, we found that these injuries happened in a broad range of situations. Many of the more frequent and more lethal incidents involved physical or verbal threats. For example, assaults, domestic incidents, or someone verbalizing threats of harm to themselves or others. Less frequent, but also highly lethal, were a number of situations that we would describe as more social needs. For example, well-being checks, suicidal crises, incidents where behavioral health needs were identified, or incidents involving victims who were unhoused. Some of the more typically non-fatal incidents involved juvenile victims or people alleged to have used a vehicle as a weapon. Those incidents will be especially undercounted if we only consider fatal injuries. Here's why all this matters. By only counting fatal injuries, we have only been looking at half the picture, and it is an unevenly chosen half of the picture. From this fuller perspective, we get a better sense for who is affected and where we could invest in different solutions to prevent harms. Policing comes with costs, including over 1,700 firearm injuries annually. If we invest in better targeted responses to social needs, we may finally be able to start to chip away at the margins of this problem. You can read more about this study and additional recommendations on the AJPH website, which can be accessed through this QR code on your screen. Thank you.